Hello and welcome to the Everything is Black and White podcast on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and on our podcast channel too. Newcastle beaten 2-1 by Crystal Palace up at St James's Park. Our chief sports writer Lee Ryder was there. He now joins us to discuss the game. Lee, a frustrating night for Newcastle United. A game a lot of people would have thought New Magpies would have come out with all 3 points. In the end, they didn't. How do you sum up what you watched tonight?
Yeah, I mean, they couldn't have asked for a better start. They come out the blocks flying, and 70 seconds in, got that goal that put them ahead. But unfortunately, they've emerged with nothing from this game. They seem to switch off with two sort of defensive lapses, if you like, and then after that, Crystal Palace threatened to score again soon after, got one disallowed. And then after the second half was really all Newcastle, apart from Andros Townsend's sitter, which, should have put the seal on the game. Instead, it just left the door slightly ajar for Newcastle. They couldn't get the equaliser despite having 4 or 5 attackers on the pitch. And in the end, they've, as you say, come out of the game with nothing.
And they grabbed the goal so early on, 70 seconds, a lovely goal by John Joe Shelby, half volley from the edge of the box. And there you expect Newcastle to build on that and take the game. But like you said, 2 defensive lapses by Newcastle allowed Crystal Palace back in. I don't think Gary Cahill had scored since 2018. He was allowed to head home. Steve Bruce's share was blocked off, but at the same time, it's poor defending for Palace to take the lead there. Steve Bruce, though, quite positive. Speaking afterwards, he said, apart from that 10-15 minute spell, he said he couldn't be more pleased with how we've gone about things. Would you agree with that statement?
Well, I thought, Newcastle were more positive. There's no doubt about that. They have looked more bright and breezy in the last 2 games. But, tonight, really, it just shows you that, the Premier League it's a mentality thing sometimes, Going 1-0 up, all well and good. But it's what you do after that. It's controlling games. He didn't really control the match, to slip 2-1 behind. And it's just the story of disappointment again. It's all right sitting here saying we played better, we created more chances, but Newcastle have won 6 games from 22 in the Premier League. It's very fortunate that there's 3 teams that are below them in the table, and they're gonna have to get on with it again now. They've got Southampton at the weekend, who've lost 9-0 tonight. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think sometimes the team that loses 9-0 is a wounded animal, and they come up here and they're determined to prove a point, and it's whether Newcastle will be strong enough to handle that. The other way is that it's a chance to hit a team frail on confidence, but Newcastle themselves, they're going to have to just be a bit more. They need to be more clinical. You've got Ryan Fraser putting 20 crosses in the box tonight, but there was so many times where some of them crosses just went begging, and he did everything he could. He tried to hit them low, he tried to hang a couple up, but whatever he did, it just didn't trouble the goalkeeper, didn't spark Newcastle's strikers into action, and the end result, it says it all.
Newcastle were more positive, and I think if you look at the stats, they had something like 21 shots on goal, 5 shots on target. And in the second half, they did try and pepper the box with efforts. But how many of them, Lee, was speculative? We saw Shelby and Shea hit a couple into the Gallagher. They didn't really end up testing great in goal. There was an Andy Carroll header, but it was weak towards the end. And there was a Callum Wilson one went wide. But were you frustrated to see Newcastle not create more golden chances and, like you say, be a bit more clinical with the chances they did have?
Yeah, they needed clear-cut opportunities in the second half, which they didn't come. And that does my head in as much as does any supporter's head in when someone goes for the Hollywood goal when you're 2-1 down. Just try and work it in the box and keep asking questions. And Fabian Schär, when he smacked that one over the bar, you had Wilson and Gale, screaming at him that he hadn't just scraped it across the 6-yard box. And, you know, that's what those guys are paid for. They're paid to put goals away from that type of range. And when your centre-half's venturing too far forward, and it's all right when you're winning, but when you're chasing the game and a good solid point wouldn't have been a bad result. Easy to say that now. And, when the season fixture list, is released, you want to beat Crystal Palace at home like they did last season and like they did at Selhurst Park. But tonight, just, a point wouldn't have been a bad result given the way that game went, given the fact they've got a game at the weekend against Southampton, and given the fact they've just beat Everton 7 points from a possible 9, wouldn't have been a bad haul. So, look, at the end of the day now, Newcastle, they go back to it. Yesterday was a strange day in the transfer window. The more you look at that, the one squad player down. When they needed to bring in more, Joe Willock was here tonight. I'm pretty sure he'll probably start the game at the weekend, and that'll give them something fresh. But there's not too many positives to. We're all sick and tired of writing about defeats.
Yeah, most certainly. A few questions from our viewers here asking where was Graham Jones tonight. He was, he came down towards the end, or in the first half there. But did he start up in the stands? Do you know?
Yeah, he started in the stand, and he was up there for about 10 or 11 minutes, and he made his way down, and then obviously I think he spent most of the game in the technical area after that. Look, maybe he just wanted to take a good, cold, hard look at them from up in the stand. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think there's anything too suspicious about it. I don't think he's been banished to the stand just because there was a few positive headlines. At the end of the day, the guy got a good warm welcome from the Northeast press. So I don't think that was the reason. I hope it wasn't anyway. But look, at the end of the day, I've seen a lot of matches. I've seen a lot of managers come in and coaches, and sometimes, they do like to take that look from above. Sam Allardyce was famous for it with the headphones, and I think there was a bit of that going on tonight. But look, they won as a team at Everton. They've lost as a team and a coaching staff tonight.
Just a quick word back on Steve Bruce, and he said he was pleased with how they'd gone about, minus the 10 or 15 minutes. But with Fulham, they've got 2 games in hand. Is now the right time to be talking about being pleased, because they're not safe from relegation yet, despite the win against Everton. I mean, it's a big game against Southampton on Saturday. I mean, surely now it's all about getting results. But given how long he's been in the job, there's a question of, at what point can he not be able to say it was pleasing, but we've lost.
Yeah, I mean, I see where you're coming from, but he's used swear words to describe how Newcastle have played in some matches, so he can't keep saying that. Otherwise, there'll be questions from above. He's the manager. He's the one who's got to try and keep it positive. I think it's really frustrating for them at the moment as a squad, because they turn up at training, they do the session, and then they've got to pretty much go straight home. I don't think there's as much camaraderie as there is usually. The camaraderie that usually gets you away from a bad run. I mean, look, they won on Saturday against Everton, but it's straight back to defeat tonight. The players can't really socialise. They can't even go for a coffee at the moment. And I'm not feeling sorry for multi-millionaire footballers, don't get us wrong, but it is part of it. They need to have that camaraderie to put a run together. They haven't been able to do that. Other teams have managed it, but other teams have got world-class players in there. So that makes a difference as well. And yesterday was probably a frustrating day for the manager and his coaching team that they didn't bring more than one player in.
Given the winless run they had been on, no wins in 11, because after Palace got the second, Newcastle's confidence just seemed to drop. Did you think that their confidence was hit? And do you think that is down to that winless run they've been on, and it maybe has impacted the players more than maybe some think?
Yeah, I think there's a combination of reasons to why Newcastle are the way they are this season, and confidence is definitely one of them. I think the COVID thing, that has really affected a lot of players, the recovery levels, and they've had normal injuries as well. So it's been a strange all season. One, I think they'll be glad to get through. They're not through it yet, though. They need to probably pick up another 5 wins. 16 games left, some tough games in there. It could be touch and go. You mentioned Fulham, they've got 2 games in hand. You are still looking over your shoulder. But at the end of the day, for Steve Bruce, it's 6 wins out of 22 this season, whatever way you look at it. So the questions will continue to be asked. People ask, don't they say, well, how do you get positive headlines? How do you get positive stories going in and around your club? Winning games is the best way of doing that. Newcastle haven't won enough games this season. It's as simple as that.
Penultimate question then, Lee. For me, watching it, they seemed a bit, they were lacking ideas until Alan St-Maximin came on, really, passing it more sideways than potentially going forward. Do you think is the idea just to give it to St-Maximin and hope something happens, hope you can get the ball into Wilson? When he came on, he did make an impact, 2 shots blocked, but surely, he could get injured again, he could be off form. You can't just rely on one man, can you?
Not really. I don't think it's ever worked for many teams in world football to just be down to one player. It's a team game. And at the end of the day, Ryan Fraser put 20 crosses in tonight, and not many of them, people bought into it. And I just wonder where Newcastle go with this one now, because as I say, that Southampton game, it's a funny one. It can go 2 ways. Southampton either come here as a wounded animal, or you look at it and think this is a chance to really sort our goal difference out at the moment. And amazingly, despite that 9-0, Newcastle's goal difference is still much worse than Southampton's. So it shows you there's so much work to be done still this season.
Well, that's where I was going to finish on that Southampton game. Football editor Mark Douglas just texted me before to say must win on Saturday. And I'm sick of saying this is a must win. I'm sure the fans are hearing it as well. But Lee, is it a must win on Saturday?
Yes, but by the same token, it depends on how Fulham get on. And they're playing tomorrow night, aren't they? So a point wouldn't be the end of the world, depending on how Fulham get on. You don't want to be relying on other teams, but Newcastle, they've got some tough games coming up after Southampton, so it's one where they really need to get that win in the bag just to ease the pressure. But we've been saying that for weeks now. The Everton game was a pleasant surprise, but they could do with a home win. There's no doubt about that.
Well, we'll let you get off, Lee, before you get locked in the multi-story at St James's Park. Thanks for joining us. We'll speak to you later in the week. So there was Lee Ryder at St James's Park. And this is the end of this match review. As we said, a disappointing night for Newcastle United. No wins in 5 at St James's Park. And that is really disappointing. Some would say they're missing the fans, but then if the fans were in to see them on this winless run, it wouldn't be a nice place to be. So it's a strange one to look at, isn't it? But to you guys watching on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter, thank you very much. Please subscribe if you're watching on YouTube. And for those listening later on the podcast, please remember to like and subscribe from wherever you're getting your podcasts from. Enjoy the rest of your